the other lawsuit here, which is his libel lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal and its owner, Rupert Murdoch, at one point a Trump ally, not anymore, clearly. How far do you think Donald Trump is willing to take this?
Look, it remains to be seen. I will say that although other media organizations have settled cases recently with him, I have to assume that the Wall Street Journal heavily vetted this story and was prepared for a lawsuit. So I would assume that they're prepared to defend this case, not to immediately settle it or potentially ever settle it. And that means it could proceed all the way through. And the lawsuit itself now exposes Trump to the very obvious possibility that the Wall Street Journal will try to depose him as the plaintiff in the case and potentially ask him questions about that letter under oath.
Does it put him in an even more difficult position than he's already in?
I think he's in a very tricky situation politically. Even setting aside, the legal issues we just discussed, as a political matter, there's been such sort of goalpost moving, and there's been such sort of, very heavily qualified statements from Trump saying, oh, we'll only release credible information or pertinent information. And so I think as a result, there's going to be some subset of people who have frankly lost trust in the administration and will not take their word at the end of the day for whether they have released everything in their possession, even if they ultimately do release everything that they can. And they brought all this upon themselves. I mean, it was Trump and his political allies who fomented this theory in recent years, and they were the ones who are now in office dealing with their inability to credibly and consistently explain how they're handling the situation.
Talk to me about what you're going to be looking for next as this story develops.
I think the near-term question is whether the government will produce any of the information that it has not already produced, that is in its own possession, and that does not require a court order to produce. And I think that pressure is going to continue and potentially increase as people get more acclimated to this notion that this is really only a limited pursuit of the release of limited information, and there's plenty of other information that they could release if they truly wanted to. It would be very unusual to do such a thing in the US in a criminal investigation, but this is truly a one-of-a-kind situation, and I think people will be following this extremely closely.